Affirmative.
What's up, people? Oh, shit. How y'all doing today, man? IOBA, my name is TC, and this is the Awareness Channel. So, you know what? I've been meaning to talk about this subject for a long time, all right? And, I mean, it's not really a new topic. It's not really a new topic, but it is a topic that, is often brought up. It is a thing that's often brought up. It's that DEI shit. Calling people DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, writing laws against that. And the white boys using that as, the same way they used to use affirmative action. Because for the life of them, they can't understand that the shit that they do ain't that hard and anybody can do it. And with a little effort, do it better than they can. You dig me? So they try to cheat the game and try to make believe that anybody who's at their level has to have gotten there by by being given the leg up through affirmative action or DEI. So I'm thinking to myself, I worked with white boys for a long time, all the way back to 14, 15 years old. And I ain't seen these motherfucking geniuses y'all talk about that can do things that no one else can do, that can do jobs that no one else can do, that can perform like no one else. Everybody else has to be given some special accommodation to be up at their level. That's how these white folks think, who say that a black person, is in an office or at a level because they are DEI hire. Because there's absolutely no way that this nigga is smart enough to do this job. I think it was a motherfucker named Charlie Kirk. I think that's his name. This motherfucking white supremacist motherfucker, right? He's the one that talked about, when he sees a black airline pilot, he wonders if the guy can really fly the plane, and there's a guy there really qualified, and blah, 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 blah. Motherfuckers been saying that same shit forever. Back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, motherfuckers always doubt that black people are somehow less intelligent than everybody else. And if you see us in a management position or a high-level position or with a complex job, we must have gotten there through some sort of cheat. That's how deep the racism is in this country, and that's what some people can't understand when they come from other places and try to live here. That's one of them, a cold bucket of water on an immigrant's head when he or she find out that that's how they're looked upon by the white society. And when we, black Americans, been trying to tell them this shit for the longest while. We've been trying to tell black people from all over the world that when you get over here, the whole goddamn game changes. All that fairness and equity and diversity you hear about, they pushing back against that. They don't want no diversity. They want everything to be the same. They don't want no inclusion. They want exclusion. They don't want any equity. They want inequity. With them at the top and your black ass at the bottom, fighting for the scraps. That's how America is set up. That's how it was meant to run. It's running like it's supposed to run. That's why, in spite of what anybody tell you, motherfuckers on TV talk about six-figure incomes and all of this $100,000 man bullshit. They're talking about the top 0.1% of black men in this country. In other words, it ain't but a few guys like that. Everybody else is in the middle. Kevin Samuels was telling y'all the truth. He really was. Before he died. That. And if you listen to somebody like Antonio Moore, I think his name is, Tone Talks, he break down the statistics the way they really are. You dig me? We ain't got no wealth. We don't have any money. We don't have shit. So we at the bottom. And they mean for us to stay there when it compared to white people. I don't like that part. I'm not going to say we don't have shit, because we do got some money. We do have some money. But compared to the white society, we don't. Check the median income of a black family of four in a city like Chicago, and do the same for a white family. And it's like for every $1 that black people have, the white people will have $100. That's the racial wealth gap. And DEI and affirmative action, fighting against that stuff, those are people trying to keep it that way. Trying to fight against programs that include everybody. Trying to fight against those are proof that you racist and you want to keep the society stratified like that. I mean, why not use nothing is hard about what white men do, white women do, white people do as far as work goes. Anybody could do anything if they train properly. They're not more intelligent than you. I always say this, okay, check this out. At what point in the melanin shift, if you will, does your intelligence, start to slip or start to, grow? At what point? I mean, like, is it the blacker you is, the dumber you is? Is it something like that? I need to know that. That shit funny to me because people really believe that because they white, they're more intelligent than everybody the fuck else. And and some black people believe that shit too. And it's just not the case. It's just who rules right now. Who calling the shots right now? Who's got all the money? Running all the major corporations and shit right now. I mean, who did the Homestead Act back in the 1940s and 50s? Who did it really help? It helped the white people. They started getting their wealth built way from back then. Black people was kept out of all of that shit. The GI Bill and all of that stuff. They didn't let niggas have none of that. And then when we did do the right thing and pull ourselves out of the mud, the white folks who used to like to come and burn our shit to the ground out of jealousy. Out of jealousy. So, DEI, being against DEI is like being against affirmative action. That's plain and simple. That's just something white boys say to make themselves feel good. Because they think that no one else is intelligent enough to do their job. Man, listen. I used to work at a place where they thought I was a DEI hire. I know this stuff from personal experience. I worked in upstate New York for a long time. That's one of the most racist parts of the country, Upstate New York, outside of New York City, up near Buffalo, Syracuse, Rochester, and that area. It's all motherfucking redneck in the middle. And so I worked at this place for 20 years. And I just kept hitting the glass ceiling. I mean, I could do I was leading in production on my machines. I ran my crew. But when it came time for the big promotion, they would just straight up tell me, we can't have you, this is as far as you're going to go. And they'll put in some dude that I trained that's not really that good. They used to do that shit all the time back in the day to me, personally. Off the record, sometimes they'll even tell you why they doing it. Off the record. That's how bold they was in upstate New York. But I fought, did my thing. I made it out the other side, and I didn't fucking sell out. But how many people can do that now? Or just give up? How many people can fight that goddamn kind of systemic racism now from the inside out? How can you do that now? I always tell my daughter what strategies I used when I was going through that shit, when I was going through all that racism and anti-DEI and anti-affirmative action bullshit. I used to tell my daughter I just went in every day and stayed in their face and made my point and didn't back down. Oh, and don't use no cuss words. Not unless they do. But sometimes you gotta pick which battles you want to fight, which battles you really want to push against. But you'll know. But don't never let nobody run you away from your job by calling you a DEI hire or affirmative action hire or some shit like that. And besides, affirmative action and DEI, that shit is for minorities. And women, white women, are minorities. So all those programs benefit white women the most. So it's a false argument to begin with, isn't it? Forgive me if I sound like I'm all over the place, but that DEI shit, it's been, stuck in the back of my head for a long time. I figure I got to get this idea off before I forget about it and move on to something else because shit happens so fast. But down here in Florida, I think Ron DeSantis signed some kind of anti-DEI law, anti-woke law down here. I'm telling you something, Florida's a fucked up state. Me and my wife about to get the hell up out of here, I think. But yeah, man, just like affirmative action, DEI has to exist because there needs to be a mechanism in place so that motherfuckers are hired more than just their cousin and their brother and their son and their friend's son and all of that shit. There needs to be a mechanism in place to assure that everybody gets a fucking shot because it won't be nothing but white boys up in there. It won't be nothing but white boys up in there because that's how you hire who you know. And they done told you ain't got to hire nobody just because they black. You ain't got to have a certain number of black people. You ain't got to have a certain number of this or a certain number of that. And you could you could check all the base boxes. You could check all the boxes by just hiring a white woman or an Asian woman. You ain't got to hire no niggas. That's how they feel. So you got to have a mechanism in place to make sure that shit don't happen. That white boys don't get it in their head that they ain't got to hire no niggas. You feel me? Fight against them kind of laws, man. When motherfuckers come along trying to take down all the goddamn protections, all of them, shit just gonna get whitewashed. That's why politics is local, baby. as far as how I'm feeling right now about the goddamn dog and pony show that is the presidential election. Shit. I already said, but I'm gonna say it again. If the United States, if the United States of America, the electorate, allow Donald Trump to get back into the White House, then as a nation, it deserves all of the shit that's going to happen as a result of it. I'm talking about the tore up economy. I'm talking about the racism. I'm talking about all the other isms that's going to come from Donald Trump getting back in the White House. However, I think that Joe Biden is going to be given another 4 years, and we're going to limp along for another 4 years with Joe Biden. You ain't going to see a lot of it, but his vice president, his chief of staff, his cabinet, they'll run the country. And they'll keep his ass back in the cellar for 4 years until we can get a real election going. And things will just kind of stay in their current trajectory. That's what I think going to happen. I think they just, the media, even the independent media, sometimes, they hype the shit up and make it look like it's really an election. That's just so they can get views and ratings and all that shit. I don't care about none of that stuff. And I always admit that I could be wrong. But I really do believe that that's what's going to happen. Joe Biden going to trip and fall and fall into the White House for another 4 years, and they'll let him ride it out. Listen, I ain't no religious brother, but I'm going to tell you something. And then I'm going to end with this. If Donald Trump wind up president of the United States, after all that's going on, all that's happened, the insurrection, all of that shit, if he wind up back in the White House after all that shit, and I ain't no religious person, but that'd be the closest thing to a miracle I have ever witnessed. We talk about this motherfucker with the 3 baby mamas and the 5 children and the grabbing the pussy and all of the craziness that happened while he was in office the first time. If this motherfucker wind up back in office, after all that, that'd be the wildest shit I ever seen in my goddamn 66 years on this earth. It's a good show. Y'all pay attention. Anyway, that's it for now. Y'all like and subscribe and come back and sit with me again sometime. I'll catch y'all on the next one. TC, and I'm out. Peace.